Hello everybody, it's me Heather, and today I just wanted to do a tutorial on how to custom blend foundation using a concealer palette or a foundation palette. So all you'll need is get some rubbing alcohol. This is just a little spray bottle that I filled with 99% alcohol. You can use any kind of rubbing alcohol is fine. Get that at your local drugstore. 99% you usually do need to get from a beauty supply or online. But you can usually find as high as 91% rubbing alcohol in your local drugstore. So just get some of that. You'll want to use, this is a makeup palette, or excuse me, this is a mixing palette. Mixing palette. This one's plastic. They do make them in metal. But I thought I would use this black plastic one just because there would be less glare and I wouldn't blind you guys as much during the tutorial. But in my kit, I do have a metal one that I prefer to use, stainless steel. Oh, whoops. And while I'm waving this around, you'll want a makeup spatula. And, of course, you're going to use a makeup brush or makeup sponge, or you can even use a stippling brush. I'm just going to use a flat panel for this tutorial. And then the star of this tutorial is going to be a no-name concealer palette. I'm going to post links, non-affiliate links, in the description bar below that explains where you can find some of these items if you kind of don't know where to start. I'm using a no-name concealer palette just to show you the possibilities. I don't even honestly remember where I ordered this, but I'm sure I'll be able to find something affordable online for you guys. But it was either less than $10 or less than $5. It was very cheap. And this one actually has a series of correctors as well as skin tones. But the reason I wanted to show this method is because for those of you that are building your makeup artistry kit, these are a lifesaver because they're often billed as concealer palettes, but you can custom blend foundation from palettes like these, and I'm going to show you how to do mine really quick. These are great for practice on yourself, other people, and whenever you start freelancing and getting paid work, having concealer palettes like these are wonderful. So especially when you're first starting out, that way you don't have to have 20 different shades of foundation, 20 different bottles, 20 different cream foundations. I mean, you have just this small, affordable concealer palette that can double as a foundation palette. Sometimes they're billed as foundation palettes, but they're usually called concealer palettes, but you can always use these for foundation. Some of them have a drier texture. Some of them have a creamier texture. This one has a ridiculously creamy texture. I was surprised. So let's get started with how I would use this. First, remember that alcohol I was talking about? Because I just want you to get in the habit of doing this, even just on yourself. It should be automatic. Because when you're doing makeup on other people, if they see you custom blending, they want to see that you are clean. So take your foundation palette, spray it down with alcohol. It's only going to kill a few surface microbes. It's really not going to make that big of a difference, to be honest. But people like to see you practicing this kind of hygiene. Of course, using a clean tissue, paper towel, whatever, wipe it down. And then before you even go into your palette, you want to spray down your knife. Same thing. So you will never ever go into your foundation palette or concealer palette without using a spatula knife. Never do it. Do not go in directly with a foundation brush. Do not go in directly with a sponge. Do not go in directly with a stippling brush. You are never going to touch this with any of your brushes or sponges. You will only ever go in with a palette knife. Got it? Alright. Just a heads up. Alright, so cool. So then what you're going to do is anytime you're trying to match somebody else, you're going to take a look at this and try to determine, does that person have a pink undertone? Does this person have a yellow undertone? Do they have a little bit of both? This is definitely not my favorite palette because this one is predominantly a palette full of pink undertones, but it has like a corrector yellow for redness and it has like a yellow or an olive undertone. So obviously I'm drawn to that one right away because depending on my lighting, I may look kind of red, but I actually do have more of a yellow or olive undertone. So, and whenever you do this, you just take your palette knife and you scrape off a tiny bit, just a really tiny amount. Sorry if I'm blinding you guys. Just a really tiny amount like that. And you're actually going to go ahead and deposit that right onto your little mixing palette here. Alright, now when you're first matching, if you're not really sure where to go from there, this is when you can definitely take your foundation brush or sponge and go ahead and just dab a little. And I'm just going to apply that right to my skin. So I can tell right away that that's obviously a little bit too light. And I'm going to go ahead and use a lot, guys, so you can see what's going on here. It's going to be kind of hard if I don't really build it on, so you can see what's going on. So I'm not quite that yellow. I do need a little bit, I need to deepen this tone a little bit more. So again, since I went ahead and used my little sample there, and these do actually last a long time because you need such a minuscule amount to do these. So I'm just going to scrape off a little again. Just about that much. That's actually even almost too much. I'm going to go ahead and scrape that off. I'm going to go ahead and put that on my mixing palette again. There we go. And I know these kind of tutorials can be a bit dry, so I'm really trying to be quick and not make sure this doesn't get too boring for you guys. And then I need to add a little bit of warmth to mine. This one's actually not too bad. It's a bit more yellow than my actual skin tone, so I do need to deepen the tone a little. So I'm going to go to one of these shades, and I'm going to pick this one because I feel like either of these two will deepen it way too much, but I feel like this one just might do the trick. So you don't want to get quite as much. I'm going to grab just a little bit less than what I picked up from the original shade, and I'm just going to push this right here. Now, people sometimes say whenever they get these concealer palettes that they tend to be a bit dry. They can be. What you can do is you can mix in moisturizer, just any kind of moisturizer. Just put a dab in there and mix it right in with there. You obviously want to make sure it's one that doesn't have an SPF factor because that white pigment can change the color. Okay, but this is how you mix it. That's all you do is you just squish them together and work it around. And you're welcome to take your foundation brush and actually pick up the color right off the spatula. You can definitely do that. And I'm going to also go ahead and go in here and pick this up. Okay, and I'll put this right below here. And now we have a perfect match. So, and I'll actually use this like around my eye area so maybe you guys can see that better. And I'm actually just going to go ahead and blend that out. Cover up that one that's way too light. Alright. I'll do this really quick, and I'll do just half my face so you guys can see the color match. But, so, I'm only one person. Like I said, this is a great way to build your kit very slowly. You can get any of these foundation palettes. My favorite one's actually, well, obviously from where I went to school, Mud Makeup Designer has a great foundation palette. But those can be a bit pricey, even with my, pro discount. So a great affordable alternative is actually BH Cosmetics, and that's actually what I have in my kit right now, is the palette from BH Cosmetics. And I will put a link to the BH one, to the Mud one, and I'll find one or two like these online for you guys. Excuse me, lose my voice. I'll find a couple of links online to ones like these that are super affordable. Because then, like, this one's just my practice palette. This one's just for me to show you guys online. That's why I picked this one up. So cheap. But, like, the BH one and the Mud ones are the ones I ideally like to have in my kit. Other great ones are, like, Graftobian has a great one. They have a ton of shades, though. But when you're starting out, just one or two type of palettes like these for, like, yellow skin tones and one for ruddy skin tones. But most of the time you'll have both skin tones mixed together. But here you go. Custom mixed my foundation. Here it is without. Here I am, custom mixed. Oh, and my birthmark that I never bothered to cover. Gotta love your flaws to a degree, you know? Alright, I hope this was helpful for you guys. And if you want to see more tutorials like this, please rate, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.